What's up, everybody? It is the Goal60 here for Conference Championship Week. Last week, we got out of all the rivalry games. Michael had a huge week last week, going 8-0-1 with his teasers. We finished up the regular season, both of us over 60%. Michael over 70% on his picks. I'm right in above 60% on mine. And we look at Conference Championship Week this week. Not a ton of games, but still some value out there to get. So with that said, Michael, if you'll go ahead and get us started, it'd be great.
I'll start out like this, Clayton. You might want to fade me next year then, because I'm due to balance out. My first play of the night is going to be Oklahoma versus Texas. I think the spread's at -7.5.
Yep.
The strong play there. I think that Oklahoma covers that 7.5, just based off the way they played last week against West Virginia. It was an air attack, and I think that Texas's offense isn't as good as West Virginia, so I just see Oklahoma pulling away with it. But if you want to do a 6.5 point teaser.
And I'm going out to the Pac-12 in the Pac-12 championship game, Utah and Washington. You look at Washington coming to this game, they're 1-7 in their last 8 conference games. They're 0-6 their last 6 as a favorite of any amount. They're 1-4 their last 5 after straight up win. And also they're 0-4 their last 4 after a spread win. If you look at Utah, they're 5-0 their last 5 Friday games. They're 6-1 their last 7 conference games. They're 4-1 their last 5 on neutral sites. Last week, Utah played in their biggest rivalry game against BYU. They didn't cover. They did get the win. This week, I look for them to bounce back. They get a little bit of revenge on their side, and that's why I'm going to take Utah plus 4.5 on Friday night against Washington.
I'm about to say I'm going to fade you on that one, Clayton. I got actually, when I looked at these lines, I had a three-team teaser in mind that I was going to do, Oklahoma being one of them. The second one was going to be Washington. I think they win the game. You might find that middle right there with the +4, but I think Washington wins the game. If you get them in a teaser, then you get them with a 0.5 point. Just say they win the game. So that's where I stand on that one. My next game is going to be Stanford versus Cal. Stanford -2.5. I don't know why, but the gut's feeling Stanford. Let's take them -2.5.
I'm actually agreeing with you on that one. When I projected this out, I had it closer to a touchdown. I know that Cal has got a really good, defense. They've been playing very well here lately. They've won 4 out of 5. But I still think Stanford in this rivalry game, because remember, this is another rivalry game. This is a write-in game. This was supposed to be played 2 weeks ago, and it got canceled because of all the wildfires. You look at Stanford, they're 6-2-1 their last 9 conference games. They're 7-3 their last 10 versus winning teams, and they're 5-1-1 their last 7 on the road. I look at Stanford here, like I said, I projected them out a little bit closer to a touchdown. So for that reason, I'm taking them -2.5 as well. Next, my last game, actually, I'm heading back to the ACC, and I'm going to be in the, like I said, ACC championship game, Pittsburgh and Clemson. This one has a lot of points. I know Clemson's strong, but Pittsburgh is 5-1 their last 6 conference games. They're 5-0 their last 5 after giving up three touchdowns and a loss, losing by more than 3 touchdowns. And also they're 6-0 their last 6 after scoring less than 20. Last week they played Miami. If you remember last year, Miami was having a really good year. On Friday after Thanksgiving, Pittsburgh upsets them, completely throws their year off. They lose the conference championship game. They lose their bowl game. Everything from then on was terrible for Miami. They had a little bit of revenge built up for this game, and I think that's why they beat up on Pittsburgh. So I'm not going to worry about last week. I'm looking at that rushing attack that Pittsburgh has, and I look for them to put up some points. I think, obviously, Clemson's going to win this game, but I definitely didn't project it at 25.5, and for that reason, I'm taking Pittsburgh plus 25.5.
I'm on the same side with you there. Pittsburgh does have a good run game, but they're going to have to air it out if they want to put some points up on Clemson. Clemson has a strong run defense.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good game just because it is a championship game. But I'm with you on that. I had the line earlier at 26, so I would take Pittsburgh plus 26, maybe even tease it up to 32. I think that's a guarantee right there.
I hear you. I like it. Well, that's all I got.
Well, my next game, and we can talk about a couple others just to kind of give our opinion, just because some other people might be looking at games and
Absolutely.
Just throw opinion out there. What we would do, might not be our strong plays, but what about Memphis and UCF? Memphis plus 3. How did they play last week? I think UCF had their quarterback get hurt.
Yeah, and I'm
thinking Memphis teased up. I'm thinking Memphis teased up on that one.
Yeah, if you remember when they played this game earlier in the year, Memphis was definitely their closest game. That game finished up 31-30. Memphis almost beat them. That was, a scare for UCF. And here's the thing. Last week when UCF lost their quarterback, I honestly thought in that game they were going to have kind of a shell shock thing. They didn't. They come out and they played very hard. But you look at Memphis. Memphis is one of those teams that's up and down, but they've got the power to score in a hurry. And I think they've already showed they can keep up with UCF. Now you're playing a backup quarterback. I think Memphis is the side on that one.
Yeah, teasing them up, we can get them, plus 9? I think that'd be a good play there.
Absolutely. Get them over a touchdown. That's a good spot.
What other championship games we got? We got Ohio State playing somebody. Who are they playing?
Northwestern. Playing Northwestern. And honestly, and this is one of those where I don't know. It's 14. It's 2 touchdowns. If you look at Northwestern, yes, they've been overlooked. They're 7-4. They've had some big wins. They actually played Michigan really close. I honestly don't think in this game you can look at last week. I don't think you can look at – I try not to, and I may be completely wrong on this, but as far as projecting out these conference championship games, I try to stay away from last week. And the reason is with all those rivalry games, teams are going to come out and play other teams harder. Obviously these teams that are playing this week are the better teams. They're going to play down to their rival. The teams that, like Michigan got blown out by Ohio State. Well, Ohio State hasn't done that to anybody this year. And I don't know. Something tells me, Northwestern is crazy. They actually are taking 45% of their student body is going to this game. So if you don't think that they're pumped up, and the school actually helped with travel and with tickets. So they're getting as many fans as they can there. And it's going to be a crazy atmosphere. They're coming with the house. I think Northwestern keeps this a little bit closer than that 14.
I mean, I can definitely see that, but I can also see Ohio State running away with it like they did last. I mean, they might be getting hot at the end of the season and making a run for it, and they know that they got to beat Northwestern by a good amount to slide on in there. What happens if Alabama? Well, I mean, let's throw this out there, and we're going to talk about the Alabama game in just a second.
Absolutely.
What happens if Georgia does beat Alabama?
Right. Yeah.
Does Alabama and Georgia go?
I think so. I think both of them get in. Well, here's the thing on that Northwestern game and Ohio State. I think that's a game that you got to look at inside the game. I think that is a live line game. And the reason I say that is if you look at Northwestern, you're thinking about taking them. You watch them in the first 5 minutes of that game, see how they play, see if they're ready to play, see if they can keep up with the speed of Ohio State, see what happens there. If Ohio State comes out and is, in 3 plays scores a touchdown, Northwestern is not going to keep up with them. But if they come out and can play defense against Ohio State, it's worth a look. But if you're going to take Northwestern, don't let that value slip too far. If you're going to take them early in the game. Don't wait until the second quarter and it's still 7-7 or 7-0, and then all of a sudden Northwestern gets tired. By then, that line is going to be closer to 6, 5, something like that. If you're going to take them early. If you're going to take Ohio State, maybe wait a few minutes and hope that Ohio State comes in a little bit slow, and then that line creeps down, and you can take it inside the game and really get some value.
Oh yeah, I love the live bet. I mean, that's a good way to try to cover yourself. I mean, sometimes it can double fuck you. Excuse my language, but it can either help you or it can hurt you. Double hurt you.
But I honestly think that's the same thing, same scenario in my mind in the Alabama and Georgia game. It's right now it's hovering around 13 and a half, 14 points. You wait just a couple minutes and you see what Georgia's going to do. And if you see if Alabama, just like the last 2 weeks, have come out slow in that first half, there's a possibility if Alabama comes out slow again that you can get them at a really good price that is not 13 and a half. Maybe it's closer to 8. Maybe it's closer to 7 after that game has started and it's moving. On the other side, if you're looking at Georgia, maybe you take them early in the game.
Yeah. The only thing with me is I always like to get mine right below a touchdown or 3 points. If I could get that on this game, then I'm going. If I can get Alabama at some point -6.5, I'm taking them. But
I understand.
But I don't know. I mean, right now, the strong play to me, if you're going to bet, of course, Alabama's been beating people by 20 all year long. So I hate to say it, but I'd like to tease Georgia up to 20 or 20 and a half if you got them at 13 and a half. I mean, I think it's going to be a close game. It's a championship game. They played us hard last year. I know they lost some people. Their defense isn't as good, but I think Kirby's going to be ready. I mean, he's a hell of a coach. He learned under Nick Saban. He's going to have them boys prepared. I think it's going to be a closer game.
And
it's got me a little nervous, kind of like the Iron Bowl last year. I mean,
oh yeah. You can bet that Kirby has been talking to his defense all week long, and that stat that come out Sunday about Alabama being the only other team or the second team to ever go through an entire regular season and not have an opponent stay within 20, then 1888 Princeton, I think it was. You can bet that stat alone has been in that locker room all week. So if you think that team is not going to come out with fire, and Alabama cannot come out slow like they have the last 2 weeks of regular season, they can't do it. They'll get their beat, and that's just going to happen. They've got to come out strong. But I think those two games, the Big Ten championship and the SEC championship, if you're going to play them, I'm waiting until the game starts, and I'm going to watch and see what that line does within the first 5 minutes of that ball game before I make a play.
Run? What's
60% of the time, it works every time.